So the question is, are we really on the verge of a historic event that will completely change the map of North Africa? Because for the first time in history, America is submitting to the United Nations Security Council a draft resolution that officially calls for the recognition of autonomy in the Moroccan Sahara. Does this mean that the Sahara issue will be closed permanently, as we talked about before, during this year, before the start of the new year, 2026? All the details and in-depth analysis can be found today in this video. Stay tuned. Dear viewers, peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings, and welcome to today's renewed episode, God willing, from the series of Opinion Today. We return, God willing, to continue once again this political analysis of the current international events, the important international events happening in the world. There have been very important events and developments during this week, whether in the case of the Russian-Ukrainian war or regarding the Gaza issue or the Middle East file in general. The peace agreement in Gaza, which of course could collapse at any moment and the war could resume there, or also regarding threats. And this tension that also occurred this week between Afghanistan and Pakistan, which, if not for divine intervention, we would have witnessed a devastating war between the two Muslim countries. So the important thing is that there are very significant developments, and it is truly necessary to present the real picture of what is happening to the dear viewers. But today, there are even more important developments. That's why we are dedicating this episode to this topic, or this new development, and what exactly is it? It is the one concerning the Moroccan Sahara issue, the case that has lasted for almost half a century, 50 years. As I explained to you in several previous episodes, it's clear that Morocco today is heading in the right direction to put an end to this. The case, to close this case, to resolve this case once and for all, because the Moroccan actions that have taken place recently, whether it was yesterday, the day before, or even weeks and months ago, all of them are actions. They really suggested that a major event is coming by the end of this month. October. Meaning we're talking about just a few days from now, just yesterday, there was a new shift, a very big shift. This issue, the issue of the Moroccan Sahara, became known because for the first time, the United States submitted to the United Nations Security Council a draft resolution calling for the adoption of the Moroccan proposal for autonomy in the Sahara as the only solution to this issue. File. The United States distributed the draft to all the permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, and of course to all the members, in order to discuss and vote on it. In fact, more than that, what does the resolution call for today? It calls on all parties involved in this conflict to resume negotiations on this basis, meaning on the basis of autonomy, as the only initiative to resolve this issue. This means there is no more self-determination from now on, and nothing else except under Moroccan sovereignty. In fact, what's even more remarkable is that this American draft calls for extending the mandate of United Nations mission for the referendum in Western Sahara. That's right, it means extending the mandate of the United Nations mission in the Moroccan Sahara for another 3 months. So here the difference is that it's not for a full year, but only for another 3 months, meaning until the beginning of the new year. 2026, which means it's a strong indication that this issue will be resolved completely with the start of the new year. The situation is like a movie. It's a sign that even the negotiations that will bring all parties together after this decision is officially adopted will, of course, be limited to just 3 months. Everyone will have to find a final political solution that is acceptable to both parties. But under Moroccan sovereignty and before the month of January arrives, this means that starting from 2026, Morocco will never be the same as it was before. In every aspect, it will never be the same as it was before. even in this regard which concerns Morocco's territorial integrity. So here, some people will definitely ask now, it's just a draft resolution submitted by the United States for a vote in the United Nations Security Council by the members. Some will say that the resolution won't pass. That means it will face opposition, it will face a veto from one of these countries. So here we are talking about permanent members. We are talking about 5 countries that are permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. We are talking about the United States, France, Britain, Russia, and China. So here we should pay close attention to which country is the only one that could use the veto against this decision. Who is it? It's Russia. We should pay close attention to who is coming, meaning everyone will say that Russia will not agree. If we talk about China, China will never oppose. China always uses positive neutrality with all the countries that are sincere to it. China is always looking for solutions, realistic solutions. Now, China wants to resolve all problems. Now, it is working to resolve all problems with all the countries that are sincere to it in all regions of the world, whether neighboring countries or others, distant countries. So even when China looks at this issue from the perspective of its interests, we find that its main interest is with Morocco, that this issue should be resolved under Moroccan sovereignty. Why do I say this? Because it brings stability to the region. China wants stability for the sake of development. It provides an investment climate, a very large commercial environment. We're talking about a region that borders Mauritania. We're talking about the Moroccan Atlantic Initiative, about trade routes with the African Sahel countries that have no sea access. We're talking about very big investment and commercial opportunities. So China sees this scenario as the best possible scenario that could happen here. This approach ensures stability in the region, also guarantees China's interest in the area, its economic interest in the region and in Africa in general. And pay close attention here as we are talking while a major trade war is currently ongoing between China and America. So it is not in China's interest at all to use the veto against this. Law. Is China with the MAR? Who's left? There's Britain. Britain has recently expressed and repeated that the Moroccan proposal to grant the region autonomy is the best solution for this issue. Britain won't be able to vote against the decision imposed by America, presented by America. So Britain won't veto this decision, especially since, as you said, it's being proposed by America. So who remains? France? France, as for France, it has a very clear position to the extent that today it openly recognizes the Moroccan sovereignty over the Sahara, one way or another. So here, that means everyone. Maybe he will say that Russia is the only one that will actually use the veto against this decision. But here, pay close attention to this visit made by Morocco's foreign minister, Bourita, to Russia. Pay close attention to the timing of this visit. Why exactly now? Why did Morocco wait? This timing? I mean, in the middle of October, just days before this issue, the Sahara issue is brought up at the United Nations. Why is that? Why did the work of this Moroccan-Russian governmental committee come at this exact time? Why did Morocco postpone it to this date? While we find that all the previous sessions were held in different months, like in February, April, June, July, and so on. But this time, it came after the middle of October, just a few days before the issue was brought up at the United Nations. So, also pay close attention to the statements that came not only from Morocco's foreign minister Bourita, but also from Russia's foreign minister Sergei Lavrov, and even from the Russian deputy prime minister, the chef's hero. We find that despite this war in Ukraine, despite the blockade imposed by America and the West on the Russians, trade exchange between Morocco and Russia increased by 30% with the start of the new year, 2025. Until today, not just today, but during the first 16 months from January to June, it increased by 30%. This means with Trump rising to the presidency of America. Pay close attention to this point. This means that as soon as Trump returns to leading America, even Morocco's actions in this matter with the Russians, even Morocco opening up to expanding trade with the Russians, this increased by 30% in just 6 months. That's a very large percentage. Why is that? Because he was planning for this day. He was preparing, creating the right conditions so that Russia would be convinced of the necessity to support the Moroccan Sahara and of the necessity not to use the veto against such a decision, a prepared decision, because it's coming, it will come. Everything was planned in advance and everything was carefully studied. I mean, with great precision. This visit, which included several partnership agreements between Morocco and Russia, featured a fisheries agreement covering the Moroccan Sahara regions. And during this visit, new projects with the Russians were also studied, which may be signed next year or at another time. Morocco, in other words, has presented its achievements to the Russians, showing what it has accomplished with them in the past period, especially the most important achievements in the last 6 months, and also what it plans to achieve with the Russians in the future. After signing these new agreements, now that they have been signed, that's it. Morocco has also presented what it can achieve in the future, what it might sign as well. With Russia in the future, even when the Moroccan Foreign Minister Nasser Bourita says that he is inviting his counterpart Lavrov to visit Morocco, this is not normal at all. It's a message, a strong diplomatic message that Morocco truly wants to develop its historical relations with the Russians. Even when the Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov responds, he says that Morocco is an important strategic partner for Russia in Africa. What does this mean? Is this a sign? It's a sign because he truly appreciates Morocco and appreciates this invitation from Bourita. So Morocco knows very well that gaining Russia's support or ensuring Russia's stance on the Sahara issue can't be achieved through slogans, statements, or marginal meetings, and so on. Absolutely not. He knows very well that this requires making Russia need Morocco. Russia must need Morocco. Meaning including Russia within the circle of shared interests in all economic, commercial, security and political matters, and so on. So here everyone should pay attention. As I said, this doesn't happen at just any time. At a time when Russia is facing a major commercial and economic blockade from America and the West and so on, there are, strong indications, strong signs that a rapprochement exists, Dr. F. There is strong mutual respect between the countries. This means that there are also assurances from the Russians that they will not use the veto against this upcoming resolution. Lavrov said it explicitly. Al-Abar said that he is ready to welcome the Moroccan autonomy proposal to end the conflict over the Sahara. So what does this also mean? This means that Russia is paving the way with this statement. Today Russia is preparing for this upcoming decision, and it's also a strong indication that it really will not use the veto against this decision. So here we can say that Morocco now has explicit support from the United States. For the first time, it really shows that it truly wants a solution to this issue. For the first time ever, it wants to put an end to this matter. It also has support from France, from Britain as well, and it has support from Russia and China. This will happen for the first time in history, which means there will be no veto, and the resolution will be put to a vote by all the member states of the United Nations Security Council. We're talking about 15 countries. The decision will be made by voting in favor of the proposal, because here, depending on who these countries are, we're talking about them now and following them closely. Looking at the names of these countries, we find Somalia, Pakistan, Greece, Denmark, Slovenia, South Korea, then Panama, then Sierra Leone and Algeria. We're talking about 7 or more than 7 countries. It's impossible for them to vote the same as the American decision. So that's 7 votes plus the American, French and British votes. So we're talking about 10 countries, 10 members, and everyone knows this information. For a specific resolution to be adopted in the United Nations Security Council, it requires the approval of 9 out of the 15 members. So here the decision will be improved, first by not using the veto and also by voting on it. The second point, this means that we are truly approaching a new transformation. We are approaching a historic shift. Honestly, we are approaching a very significant event, an event that will put an end to this debate. This conflict that has divided two brotherly peoples. The conflict that has scattered families, because in reality the peoples of Morocco and Algeria are one people, one family. This conflict is what has torn this family apart. So when we move in this direction towards this kind of settlement, I believe we now have a historic opportunity to reunite the Moroccan and Algerian peoples, to break down these borders as well, which were put in place by the colonizer. So I believe it's time to turn the page on the past today and form a Moroccan-Algerian alliance. Is this possible? Let us know your answers in the comments below this video.